We took our family of 6 on a 2-day trip to Washington, D.C. Today I'm going to tell you exactly what we did, what worked, and what I would recommend doing differently. I hope this video will help you plan your family's travel itinerary. Unexpectedly, we were there during National Police Week, which happens in May, and so if you were able to plan your trip on this week, actually, I would highly recommend it. I'll get into that a little bit more in a minute, but check out that calendar for May. We started day one at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum and then went counterclockwise around the mall. About halfway around is how far we made it. This is a great place to start for your kids. It gets them really excited. The Smithsonian has so much to see and do. From learning aviation history and exploring outer space to even testing your speed. They also have space fantasy exhibits like Star Wars, which I personally wasn't that excited about, but my kids love. There's a great gift shop underneath. This was a really great place to start. There's so much to see and do here. And so we spent a lot of time here, which was probably great that we started here. After that, we grabbed food from a food truck, which was excellent, and we actually ended up doing on day 2 as well. Don't be afraid of the food trucks. Try something new. It was really good. We took our food with us and planned to eat it on the lawn of the Capitol, but we noticed along the way that there seemed to be something going on. And when we got there, there was like a checkpoint security, and you could go through it. You just had to go through security. And it was because it was this National Police Week, but specifically it was Peace Officers Memorial Day on May 15th. And so there was music, there were speakers, and even at one point they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States." And so we got to hear him address and share appreciation for the police officers at this event. It was so cool. And it was really fun because we continued to see these police officers throughout the rest of the day also. And they had brought with them like badges and challenge coins to hand out to the kids. My kids met police chiefs from New York City and Chicago and LA and just all over. And this like brought an extra level of excitement to our trip. So if you can plan to go during this time, it's really great. Because of this, however, we didn't get to go into the Capitol, and the Library of Congress was closed on this day, so we continued walking, and it was kind of drizzly on this day, which for the most part didn't really matter. It was just a drizzle. But I'm glad that we did it on this first day because more of our things were inside. So we ducked inside the National Art Gallery, and my family was a little nervous about this. Like, it didn't seem like fun, but I pre-planned the things that I wanted us to specifically see so that we're not trying to like aimlessly wander throughout here and see all that there is, because there is so much to see here. But specifically, I wanted to see the American art exhibits because that's why we were in DC. It was to learn about American history. And so we found the American wing and went through it, and everybody really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun. Afterwards, we went downstairs into the basement, and there's like this little cafe that serves ice cream. You can sit and watch this beautiful waterfall thing. There's a gift shop, and don't miss the walking sidewalk. This is one of the 2 favorite things of my kids. I have little boys, and they just love all things transportation, and the sidewalk looks like you're going through Star Wars. Like, granted, it was pretty cool. From there, we left and we went to see the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. You're not supposed to take flash photography in here, so be aware of that. And they keep you walking pretty quick through it to just kind of keep people going. After this, we were tired and decided to head back to our hotel. We stayed just about 24 miles south of the National Mall because it was cheaper there. And we stayed at a home too. It was clean. We had a suite for our family of 6. We had a continental breakfast in the morning. There were other school groups that were also staying in the hotel. Ultimately, this worked really well, but you really should factor in how you're going to do your transportation because that might have an effect on where you decide to stay. For driving in, it only cost a quarter an hour to like park your car in DC. And we found a parking spot pretty easily, but we weren't there during like a high tourist time. Even though we weren't there during a high tourist time, the driving was crazy. Like cars were so tight together. And if you needed to get off at that exit, but you hadn't really planned ahead for that, you were probably going to miss that exit. And it might take you another hour to get back around. It was just really stressful. My husband doesn't have problems driving in Chicago, but this caused us a lot of stress. And we decided on day 2 to take the metro subway in instead. But that's $8 a person. Factor that in with your hotel stay. How many times are you going to have to do this trip? Is it worth it to maybe spend a little bit more? We also booked our trip pretty last minute. And so we didn't have a lot of hotel options, especially right in the city. I think it was because the police were there that they had probably booked out like all of those rooms right there. And so that's where we stayed. We love the hotel, would highly recommend it, but those are just kind of what your travel options are going to look like at that point. Day 2 was our outside day. So after taking the subway in, which everybody enjoyed, we started at the Washington Monument, got to take some fun pictures there, walked over to the World War II Memorial. This is a great place to hang out, people watch, get your feet wet in the pond. It was a really nice location. We were already starting to get sunburnt though. We went over to the Korean Memorial, which has these great statues, and you can walk around and just really appreciate what happened there. We got some ice cream. This is our top trick. If you need your kids to keep walking, ice cream does the trick. So this was really expensive ice cream. It was really good. And it motivated our children to walk on to the Lincoln Memorial. So it was totally worth it. Ice cream does the trick. At the Lincoln Memorial, there was some construction going on. You're always going to run into construction somewhere in DC. Last time for us, it was the Washington Monument. This time it was the Lincoln Memorial. We still got to see the Lincoln statue and do some things there, which was really fun. Right next door is this little shop where you can get some souvenirs. If you have kids, great souvenir ideas are costume things. So we got a Lincoln hat here. Later on in the day, we get a tri-horn hat and a penny whistle. And my kids are still using these. They still play with them. They have fun with it while they're there in the place, wearing them around. And this, I just highly recommend. I love the idea of getting hats and costumes when you visit other places. So consider that when you're considering what kind of souvenirs your family wants to get. From there, we went to the Einstein statue, which you can kind of like crawl around on, hang out. We went to the Vietnam Memorial, and I think they always have like volunteers there, maybe because the few times that I have gone, there have been people there that would like answer our questions, maybe help us find a name of someone that we knew. You can see your reflection in this memorial. It is a really good one to just take the time to go through and honor the men who died in Vietnam. But then we were very, very tired. Our children were very, very tired. And to walk to the White House was going to be quite a trek and quite an ask of them. So there happened to be this taxi cab driver named Mo. Mo was fantastic. We all hopped in his van after talking about like how much it was going to cost and went, and he told us so many fun things that we wouldn't have known on our own about the White House. He's obviously been doing this for a very long time. It was really fun to just get to hear from him. And then he said, well, have you driven past Ford's Theater? And we said no. And he took us by there and told us extra information about that too, that even though we had studied this history, he knew even more. And it was just a treasure to get to meet Mo. If I can find his information still, I will drop it down in the description, and you should try to get him as your taxi driver. It was so worth it. He dropped us off at the American History Museum. There we got lunch again from a food truck, fantastic, and then went inside. Here again, It's a huge museum. And so you want to be kind of selective on where you are spending your time, but you can see like life-size statues of people from the Revolutionary War through the Vietnam War, the Twin Towers when they fell. You can touch parts of the Berlin Wall. We had a really great time there. There's also like cinematic history here, which my kids and husband enjoyed looking through. And it was obviously also like field trip day. And there were a lot of students there at the time that we were there. About 3 o'clock, we decided to leave. Now, so we headed out, got on the subway and got in our van and went to Mount Vernon. I'll tell you about that in a second. But if you don't want to go to Mount Vernon, there is still so many other things that you could do close by. We just decided that that was going to be it for us. And so we took off. The sun had a lot to do with that. Not that it was like super hot, but just that we are very pale and get very burned. And I think we also had already made the reservations. But I'm so glad that we did because Mount Vernon was fantastic. My sad part is that we didn't get enough time to explore all of it. We had dinner there. The food was amazing. The chicken sandwich, oh my goodness, don't miss it. So good. Best chicken sandwich I've ever had. And then we got to go to the gift shop. Amazing. Tons of options of books and activities for the kids, of souvenirs to take home, the tricorn hat, the penny whistle. There was so much. But by the time that this had all happened, the living history part, like to go see Washington's house and do the other things, was already closed up. So we didn't get to do that. And I really wish that we could have. If I was to go back, I would probably add a day for that. Or I would start with Mount Vernon and then end back over on the mall. Those are just my thoughts. I hope that this video helped you plan your family's itinerary for going to DC. If you would like to see more family-friendly trips, make sure that you subscribe, and then you can go ahead and click here to see another adventure that we went on. Thanks so much for joining, you guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.